What is going on, everyone? Thank you so much for coming back today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day. Just click on today's video. Today we're going to do another episode of awesome movies you've probably never heard of. Now, 1991, Suburban Commando. It stars Hulk Hogan, Christopher Lloyd, and Shelley Duvall. Now, Hogan had already had a few movies already under his belt, such as Rocky III and No Holds Barred. Now, this movie was originally titled Urban Commando. It was set to star Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger. But whenever Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito signed on to being twins, the idea got put on a back shelf for a little while until New Line Cinemas bought the rights to the movie, and they decided to cast Hulk Hogan, fresh off the worldwide success of No Holds Barred. For me, Suburban Commando, it came out when I was 7 years old. I was a huge Hulk Hogan fan as a kid, so I thought this movie could do no wrong. Going back and watching it now, there's a lot of things that went wrong with this movie. So, let's do a little watch along. I'm going to kind of give you a play-by-play about all the things that I find kind of humorous in this movie. But, very quickly, the movie starts off kind of like a great value brand, Dollar General of Star Wars. Now, we have General Shooter that he wants to take over the planet. You know, as all these rulers do. They just want to destroy every planet in the universe. And, which I don't know why, because once you destroy every planet, like, what are you going to rule? But, whatever. Now, here's where we get the first look of Ramsey. This is Hulk Hogan. He's coming down the hallway, blasting people away, got his armor on. But my only question to Ramsey is, what if they shot you in the face? Now, after he cuts off General Shooter's hand, Ramsey decides it's time to book it. It's time to get out of here. So, as he's leaving, he's placing explosive pods along every little nook and cranny on his way out, shooting his pod out into space. Now, this is where we find out that Chef Ramsey, it's kind of funny because it sounds like I'm saying Chef Ramsey, as in Gordon Ramsay, but I'm saying Shep Ramsey. I'm just going to refer to him as Ramsey from now on, because I can't do the Shep Ramsey every single time. Now, this is where we find out that Ramsey is a space warrior that works for this guy named Zanuck. Now, Zanuck thinks that Ramsey is just, he's burned out. He needs to kind of take a break and regenerate his batteries and kind of just cool off a little bit. This does not set well with Ramsey. He punches his ship and busts his ship. Zanuck sets a crash course for him to regenerate his batteries, kind of recharge, digress on planet Earth. Now, Ramsey quickly lets us know what he thinks about us.
Earthlings. I hate Earthlings.
Now, here we meet Charlie, played by Christopher Lloyd. And we got some of this really cool 90s rap music going on.
But I wouldn't want to visit.
That's right. It's Hulk Hogan's rap music. Now, Charlie's wife, Jenny, is walking around quickly reminding him that all these bills are stacking up. That Charlie needs to ask for a raise from his boss. That you need to go into his office and demand a raise for all the hard work you do. Now, when Charlie arranged this meeting for his boss, I kind of tell him that he worked on this project all weekend long. He put so much time and effort into this, and that he deserves a raise. His boss quickly shrugs him off and shows him all of the 40 pounds of Simeon crystals that he has for all these awards he has. Simeon crystals. I really hope that comes in handy later on in the movie. Now, quickly after Ramsey arrives on Earth, he does a little work for PETA, steals him some new digs. He sees a sign for an apartment for rent. What I love about this is there's no address, there's nothing. It just says apartment and an arrow. And somehow he finds the place. That's freaking funny to me. Now, very quickly, you can kind of see what kind of person Charlie is. He's this kind of pushover guy, afraid to break the rules, doesn't want to get in trouble. Now, every single day, whenever Charlie and his coworkers leave work, they stop at this red light. They rev their engines, and they are ready to race through the next red light. Just so happens the light turns yellow. Charlie doesn't want to get in trouble, so he always slams on his brakes and pisses off all of his coworkers every single day. Now, as Charlie arrives home, he sees that his neighbors like to work on their cars and park them right in front of his driveway. So Charlie must park on the other side of the road and walk up to his house. As he's walking up, we meet the Colonel, as you call him in the movie. He is sitting in a Jeep in his front yard with flowers and stuff growing out of this Jeep, drinking all day. You can clearly tell that this neighborhood does not have an HOA because none of this shit would happen in an HOA. Now, whenever Charlie does get inside the house, really all he wants to do is make it out to his workshop, so that way he can kind of digress, kind of be in his own little space, be a man for once. But Charlie's wife, Jenny, had other plans. Now, remember earlier when I said that Jenny was bugging Charlie about getting a raise because money is really tight around here? We need to watch what our spending. We need to make more money. Now, in just a 8-hour day work day, Jenny somehow transformed Charlie's workspace, spent all this money to turn it into an apartment. So the one escape that Charlie has to be a man and get away from everything, Jenny has now taken from him, spent more money to turn it into an apartment. Women, am I right? Now here Ramsey shows up. He followed the arrow. He found the apartment to rent. Now this was clearly back before background checks and credit checks, because they just quickly give the apartment to Ramsey. And my thing about this whole thing is, how is he paying for this apartment? Because he has currency in his own planet, right? I doubt his currency will work in America. So I don't know how that's going to work. Now Charlie is spying on Ramsey as he's putting away his things, and he noticed that Ramsey has a gun. So as Ramsey leaves for the day, Charlie is not a good landlord because he goes inside of his apartment without him knowing, messes around with the gun, ends up shooting a hole through the wall and blowing up his neighbor's car across the road. Now, while this scene is very important, is it sends up a signal to General Suter to kind of let him know the general area of where Ramsey is. Now, he turns off the gun really fast, so he loses the signal. But General Suter gets 2 bounty hunters, freaking Lewis from Remote, and the other one is, you guessed it, the freaking Undertaker. Now, like I said, they only get this signal for a short amount of time because Charlie turned off the gun. Now, here's probably my favorite scenes from the movie. You have this montage put together by this cheese dick 90s music that's just like boppity bop music. Every time you hear this music in the movie, you know that something stupid's going to happen, where it's kind of a fish out of water scenario every single time. And as this music's playing, it's kind of like a montage of Shep just adapting to surroundings. In these scenes, you have Shep who's trying to skateboard. He ends up helping Charlie with the neighbors. He saves Charlie's son from getting hit by a car. He stops a purse thief, and then he helps a mime get out of a box. So like I said before, Ramsey had left for the night. He is heading back to his ship to check on his ship. On his way there, he passes an arcade, and this part absolutely cracks me up, because he hears blasters from the arcade game, but Ramsey quickly gets out his imaginary gun, and he decides to help these kids save the galaxy. What I'm wondering about this scene is, where are all these kids' parents? The streetlights are on, it's dark, why are you not home? Now, of course, we have Charlie being a nosy Nancy, where he follows Ramsey to his ship. After Ramsey leaves, he ends up going inside of his ship, turning it on, stealing his armor, trying it on, ends up saving a woman. He ends up losing a part of the gun. And, of course, when all this stuff is on, what happens? This activates the tracking device to let them know exactly where Ramsey is. Now, this part is very interesting to me because Ramsey ran across this little girl. She's crying because her cat is stuck up in a tree. Now, who is this girl, you may ask? None other than Elizabeth Moss. That's right. So Ramsey ends up helping her out. And what kills me is, where's Ramsey been for her lately? Because she's had some really hard times lately as far as fighting the Invisible Man. She's stuck inside the Handmaid's Tale. Like, Ramsey really needs to show up for her now instead of back then trying to save her cat. Now, for me, hands down in this movie, the best acting of this movie, there's not a lot, but the best acting in this movie goes to this sweet old lady who's explaining to Ramsey just how to pick a perfect melon. You gotta squeeze it, you gotta find the right spot. Now, as Ramsey squeezes this melon, it explodes and it goes all over this lady. Now, this scene here, it looks like she's taking shots on the beaches of Normandy, just taking all the shots and all the gunfire that she can. Best acting in the whole entire movie goes to you, man. Now, Ramsey heads back to his ship where he learns that he is being tracked. He figures out this is nosy Charlie's doing. He goes to Charlie's work and decides he needs to take Charlie to go to this spot where he used his armor. Now, another scene here that cracks me up is they're going out to the car, and he has no time to wait for Charlie to unlock his door. He ends up just ripping the door off the car, and then decides to walk around the car and open his door. Now, wouldn't it have just been the same amount of time as him walking around the car to open his door? I'm pretty sure Charlie could have got the door unlocked by the time he got around. They get to the abandoned warehouse, and they find the spot where Charlie ends up helping the girl, and they find a piece of suit, but it's not all there. So they go to the car, and wouldn't you know it, Charlie has a tracking device in his car to use to find this piece. Now, fun fact about this is this meter that they're using in Suburban Commando is the exact same PK meter that they use in Ghostbusters. The producers and set designers of Suburban Commando found this in the props and decided to use it in the movie. So that's kind of a fun fact. We quickly learn here that the gun that Charlie lost is a freezing gun. They're following the trail around and they find it to a bank where the robbers are inside robbing the bank at this moment. And you come across all these people who are frozen in time. As Ramsey walks up, they try to freeze Ramsey. But wouldn't you know it, Ramsey has a vial of antifreeze in his pocket. You dumbasses. He saves the bank. He stops the crooks. But in the process, Charlie's a little frozen. Now, in this scene is where the bounty hunters show up and Ramsey has to book it. Side note, all these people in this bank that end up getting frozen do the absolute worst job of any acting in any movie in staying still while being frozen. Now, Ramsey drives Charlie back to his shop where he's doing his best weekend at Bernie's. Ramsey tells Charlie that the bounty hunters are here and they must fight. But Charlie's not having any part of it. And that's where Ramsey says, unless you know where 40 pounds of simian crystals are.
I'll tell you why. Pure simian crystal.
These awards are my proudest possessions.
Also, too, in this movie, you get a lot of little cutscenes. Now, I do love this cutscene, so you see both the bounty hunters show up in a car. Somehow they've ended up getting a car. They stole it from a wedding where it says, just married. They pull up to this drive-thru, and I guess they're not having it. They end up shooting the speaker off the drive-thru and driving away. I guess they didn't have any honeymoon specials. Now, Charlie and Ramsey head to the office to steal these crystals. But wouldn't you know it, they're having a black tie party where they're showing off these crystals. But Charlie and Ramsey somehow show up in these tuxes. What I love about this is where the hell did they find a tux to fit Hulk Hogan? Because you know someone didn't just have this laying around. Because he's a pretty big guy. As they go to steal the crystals, they find out that they have been moved. And in this scene, we see the bounty hunter show up in a ship. I thought they were just in a car. The bounty hunters crash the party, and after a game of bendy stick, the fight is on. With some catchy one-liners between the two, Ramsey defeats the bounty hunters. Now, back at Charlie's residence, Charlie arrives home to find General Suter standing in his living room. Because General Suter is going to take care of Ramsey himself. Now, here's where General Suter and Ramsey have an ultimate showdown. Now, Charlie comes back to save Ramsey, and in the process of all this, it ends up turning General Suter into a full-blown creature from the Black Lagoon. I guess they had that suit laying around in the studio as well. After a little bit of a roundabout, Ramsey ends up electrocuting General Suter. He grabs Charlie. They get out just in the nick of time. And the universe is saved. Now, the next day, Charlie walks into his boss's office and he quits. Now, right before Ramsey leaves, cue the Cheese Dick 90s music. You know what happened while he was here on Earth? Ramsey learned how to skateboard. He's showing this off for all the 8-year-old kids in the neighborhood. Now, after this scene, Charlie takes Ramsey to his ship, which is on top of this huge building. Now, Ramsey quickly says his goodbyes, and my question here is, why does his ship look like a stink bug? Now, after all this is going on, Charlie is now a changed man. You know in the very beginning of the movie where he wouldn't even go through the yellow light? No. Charlie now is a rule breaker, so he goes through the red light, stops, gets out his little space gun, and shoots out the street light. And all his co-workers cheer him on, or ex-co-workers now cheer him on. Charlie takes off, and this end scene when all the credits roll, they're doing their best, like O.J. Simpson police chase here, and it's pretty comical. But that is it. That is 1991 Suburban Commando. It has a rating on Rotten Tomatoes of a 15% by the critics, 33% by the audience. Like I said, 7-year-old me, love this movie. Let me know down in the comments, guys. Have you ever seen Suburban Commando? It's not one of those movies where I suggest you go watch it now because it doesn't hold up as well as it did back in the 90s. I don't know if it even did, but 7-year-old me loved this movie. So, but guys, I'm curious to hear from you guys. If you guys have a movie or a TV show you'd like for me to check out and review on the channel, go send me a message over on Instagram or just stop by and say hi. I'd appreciate that too. But if you wouldn't mind doing me a huge favor on your way out, if you wouldn't mind hitting the thumbs up button down below. If you're not a subscriber and you do like the content I'm putting out, make sure you become a subscriber. And out beside that, hit that little bell notification and select all. And then YouTube will send you a nice little notification whenever I upload a new video. But that's all I have for you guys today. Mom, I love you. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks, guys. Hey, if you want to watch another video, click here. If you want to subscribe, click over here. As always, thanks for watching, guys.